Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Traci and this is Pasquale.
Hello.
Oh, we're getting formal today, are we?
It's Halloween. It's October.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about dreams in terms of specifically our deceased loved ones who I believe that when we dream about them, that they're actually visiting us in their dreams.
I
Right?
100% agree.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I get that from clients frequently who have dreamed about, somebody who's passed away.
Yeah.
And so, of course, not everybody believes that that's the case, which is totally fine. But to me, I'm kind of like, well, if it's something that helps you feel better, believing that, why not believe it?
Yeah.
What is the harm in even believing that,
I don't think, and just to put I don't think there's any harm in believing it. I actually think it's super healthy.
Yeah.
I think it's, again, I think everyone's entitled to their own truth and their own version of what they want to believe.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I've seen it. I think we alluded to it in the last episode where I was like, my aunt had said that. But I will tell you, I've seen it throughout my life.
You mean yourself dreaming of people, or
not only myself, my family, all of them dream of people that have crossed. And I will tell you that every time they dream of it, typically there's something that comes from that dream.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Every time.
Okay. So a couple things I want to talk about that I don't know are if they're, fallacies, it's kind of like what I've come to believe in piecing, different information together, but I always like to check in with you and see what your beliefs are and what you've experienced. So a couple things is one, people who do really believe it expect the next day or the night they died for them to come visit them, or even within, a couple months, and they get worried and they're like, well, I haven't dreamt about them. They haven't visited me. And they feel very sad and kind of abandoned in a sense by that. But my understanding is that it takes the crossover process takes some time, and that person has to kind of acclimate to crossing over, and then they have to kind of learn how to do that, how to visit somebody in their dreams. So what is your take on that?
So I think there's two sides to it, because I think you're right. When a spirit is crossing, it really is based on them. It's energy, right? So it's how much energy are they willing to expand or connect with versus do I want to just move, right? And remember that when you are leaving the flesh, right, you're in a very different space. There's no ego there kind of holding you back, making you question things.
Yeah.
You just know truth, right? And so some of that could be their decision in saying, if I do visit, is it going to be a positive or a negative? Because I don't want to hurt them.
Right. So this brings me actually to my next question.
Wait, but I didn't even finish this
one. Oh,
because there's more.
Oh, tell me.
There's more.
Tell me.
Because not only is it up to them, but it's also up to you. If you're not in a space to receive, right, you're really upset and hurt, which I totally get. It's sad.
Right.
If you're in that space, it's really hard for them to connect with you. Because you're not open.
So that's twofold then, not open to receive that message or guidance or vision, whatever you want to call it, and visit. Thank you. And it could be that they want to make sure that it is going to be a positive experience. So if somebody is in the midst of their grief, it's likely not to happen.
Yeah.
And I know with me personally, it's always started to happen once I started moving towards that acceptance stage of grief, and I started to feel better. Not necessarily fully better, but once I really got the intense pain I had processed through already, and that's when I started seeing them, and then that just helped me move through that process even quicker because it gave me that hope.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whereas if I would have had the dream and seen them, gotten the visit from them sooner in the grieving process, I think it could have made me more sad.
I would agree, yes. And you have to remember, again, they're not being held back by ego, right? So it's an energy, it's a spirit, right? And the spirit is seeing things in multifaceted. They're everywhere, right? Because they're back
And
to being
completely
this
objective.
energy. So they can see that, oh, this is going to hurt, and I've already hurt enough. I want her to heal, and I'm going to just go ahead and leave. And maybe I'll come back and visit, or I'll leave little signs here and there to just kind of give the memory. You know, one of my favorites, and I talk about this a lot, is that, you know, growing up, I only knew one grandparent, my grandmother. I had there's 3 others, right? And when my grandmother passed, the moment she passed, it was nighttime, and I was asleep, but she visited me. Like, I knew she had passed because she had told me, and I was young. I was like 15-ish, 14, 15, when this happened. And I remember I was like, they had snuck me away at my aunt's house, so I was not even like with her when this happened. And I remember going downstairs and looking at my aunt and going, she died. And my aunt had already known, right?
Wow.
But I will tell you, like, being someone who has seen and regularly sees those who cross, she's the only one who's yet to come back to me.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen her in less than 50 years, but like, I haven't seen her. Have I seen my other grandparents? Yes. All the time. But she doesn't come back.
Why do you think that is?
I believe it's because she doesn't want to influence me, right? She doesn't want me to either experience pain.
She was the intuitive one too, right? The one that kind of...
They all were. Well,
okay.
3 of the 4 were, for sure. We won't talk about the 4th. But 3 of the 4 were definitely. But she was the one who helped me quite a bit in just kind of gaining control and understanding. And so I believe that the reason she hasn't come to me is because she doesn't want to, like, hurt me, upset me, or influence me. But she's definitely visited other members of my family.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, like, the dreams that I have about loved ones who have passed are so intense and real, like, and it's weird because the process for me, and I don't know if this is common or what you've experienced in the beginning when they first start visiting me, I can't get to them. Like, I see them in a distance in a crowd, and like, but then when I wake up, I'm like I know it's so real and clear, like, we're trying to get to each other. And I don't know if maybe that's their process of, like, trying to figure out how to get to me, or maybe it's me too, like, being open enough to bring it to me. And then, but then eventually, and then when it comes, it'll eventually come to, like, where I'm able to hug them. And I've got to tell you, like, that feeling of hugging them is like, I mean, it's real. Like, I 100% believe that I'm actually hugging them. I can feel everything. I can smell them. I can touch them, like that feeling. Your body chemistry changes, It's amazing.
I would agree. I think when you feel it, like, I personally will tell you from my perspective, when I dream and someone I know is entering the dream, it's always a lucid dream. So it's not like an REM sleep dream. Okay. Like, I always notice that on those nights. So
you're dreaming. Like, in your dream, you're
lucid.
dreaming.
I know that I'm dreaming, and I also know that I'm not getting a good night's sleep. Like, I know that, like, it's the lucid phase is when I find that I'm the most influenced, where I'm woken up, or like I get these types of dreams. It's the lucid, like that lucid phase, right? So in between REMs typically, and for me, they're right in front of me. I would want to say, or like my explanation for you is that I think it's you're seeing them, but you're doubting it a little bit, and so that's why they're always far away. So it's
more me blocking them.
Yeah, because their energy is endless. Well, not endless, but their energy is. They can just do it, right? Like, they can enter your dreams, and it's a pretty easy thing as long as you're not fighting them, right? Because you have free will.
So it's up to me.
And so it's truly your free will. If you're not willing to see or accept it, they're not going to come.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's just how it is, you know?
Yeah.
So free will is a big factor whenever you're having these experiences.
I actually use it as a motivator when I went through the grieving process recently, and then with my clients too, who really believe that, because it's like, if you think about it, you know, it's almost that reverse psychology, because it's like, well, if you want to see them, that means you have to be able to handle seeing them, meaning so you have to go ahead and heal. You have to move forward in your grieving process so that you can accept that into your life.
Yeah.
And so it works, you know, it was a huge motivating factor for me.
Yeah, it's, you know, the moment, if the more you want it, the less it happens, right? Because you're grasping, you're holding on so tight to make it happen,
right? That's
that
true.
They can't get through that.
But that's not healing. That's desperation.
Exactly.
Right.
And so you're not healed.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I use this example quite a bit with a lot of my clients, is like when you're talking intuition and being intuitive, right? The reason that you can be intuitive for people that aren't you is because there's nothing blocking you, right? You're just open because you don't really care.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's like doing therapy.
It's just there.
We can't do it on our friends and family because we don't have that objectivity.
No, and so what happens is the minute we start to bring the intuition in, we start to block it because we expect.
Right.
Right? We're holding on to things. We have our own kind of like, we want to control it, right?
Yeah.
I don't like this card, so I'm going to put it back and reshuffle. Well, no. The card is a card,
right.
You know? But like, you have to accept that, right?
Yeah.
It's
well,
the same with the
with
dreams.
Yeah.
You have to be willing and open to accept it.
Yeah.
And be ready to accept it, right?
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the interpretation of the dream. So I've always kind of, for myself and recommended to others, think about when you're seeing them, what's happening in your life. Is there some sort of connection? Is it when good things are happening? Is it when challenging, you're going through something very difficult? That's, you know, what's happening. Is there like certain emotions that are present, and kind of like what you felt in the dream? Because I have some dreams about, you know, loved ones who've passed, and it could be love and like that hug and that affection, or it could be like something where like they're like being chased by somebody trying to kill them, or I'm trying to save them somehow. You know what I mean? So I think how important do you believe the content is, or do you believe it's just as simple as, no, they're visiting you and we create the content in our imagination?
I think, so for me, how I believe that is that they can visit to visit, right? But a visit from them with no meaning is more of just like an embrace and them just being there. Right?
Okay.
Like that to me is like, oh, they're just letting us know that they're safe, or that, you know, they're good.
Okay,
right?
that makes sense.
Or they're thinking of us.
Yeah.
But if there's a story attached to the dream, then it's typically, there's a meaning to it. They're trying to tell you something.
Okay.
And like,
that makes a lot of sense to me.
That's, so like for us, like in my family, like there's, if one specific grandparent shows up, and like you're giving birth, or you're getting your teeth done, or like all of those things mean something is coming, and typically within 10 days it's there.
Oh wow.
And you can kind of like pinpoint where or what.
Yeah.
But it's
so that
always
goes back
more
to just kind of like keeping that journal, writing that stuff down and making a note of it, so that you can go back and then follow the trends, because you're not going to pick it up right away.
Nope.
Right? It's got to be a trend, a pattern that begins to emerge.
Exactly. And or you ask someone like me, and I can tell you, like I can try to describe your dream. Like, well, I mean, go to an intuitive.
I have the insider.
You have an insider, but you'll pay extra. But no, like I think keeping journals is super important. But also, like I always tell people, when you're keeping the journals, it's not always the full story of the dream. It's the feelings.
Yes,
right? It's the feelings.
Even when I do dream interpretation for people, which I love, I tell them the same thing. They'll tell me some random things that in the dream. I'm like, but what were you feeling in the dream?
It's the feelings, right? Because the feelings feelings are always the future. It's the best way that I've always
But
been
it's
taught.
usually similar to what they're experiencing in their life, whether it's fear.
Or what they're going to experience.
Yeah. So if somebody is experiencing like fear or sadness or anger in their dream, it is usually similar, although in their dream it could be, they're fearful that like an alligator is like, chasing them down or something like that. An alligator. South Florida.
Could happen. It could happen.
So, but it's still, so it's not literal. These aren't literal interpretations, of course.
No, I think it's about taking the time to describe what you feel and what the dream, like what is in the dream.
And thinking of applying it to your wakeful life to say, like, am I experiencing this emotion anywhere and why?
Yeah.
Right. And then, well, we're getting into
or
like, dream
but you can even go a little more because, like, to me, it's not always what you're experiencing at the moment.
That it could
it's
be coming
what's
up.
coming.
Right.
And so if it's what's coming, you start to recognize when you start to feel those feelings. Okay, now the message is coming through. What is happening?
Okay, so now, and I believe this is called something. I can't think of what this is called, but where you can kind of force yourself or set an intention to bring somebody in to visit you in your dream?
Sure, you can set an intention just like when you meditate or any part of your life.
So how would somebody do that?
It's for me when I set an intention, if I want someone to visit, and I haven't done this, so I don't really like to be visited in my dream. Just to kind of put that there. I mean.
Well, you're visited all day, so.
But it's not mine. But I would say, I'm punched out, so try not to right now. But I think that if you wanted to, what I always tell people is just like when you're going to see a medium, right? Think of the person, remember the person, and start talking to them, right? Like, so if you want to see, let's say, your grandmother, right? Remember them, think of them, and then start talking to them. Hey, tonight I'm going to go to sleep and I would love to see you, right?
Okay.
And so I think setting that first out there, right? Letting the energy kind of out. But then when you're actually ready to go to bed, just, thank you so much for allowing me to remember my dreams. I'm so excited to meet or see my grandmother again, right? And then going to bed typically will allow it to happen within 2 days. I would say 2 days is like a good number.
Okay.
But that's how I would set the intention for it. But I always tell my clients, like, if you want to see someone or want them to come through, think of them fondly and ask them to come forward, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's if you're letting them know that you want them, they'll show up.
Does it help, I don't know if this is kind of getting off topic, but does it help to wear their jewelry or things like that? Like, does that bring them closer to us?
I mean, energetically, they're in the jewelry, right? Because it's an inanimate object, so it's holding the energy of them. So there's comfort in that.
It probably makes us feel closer to them rather than them feeling closer to us.
Correct.
Because they're already there.
It's
so it's our reminder. Got it.
It's comfort. Now, could you read off of the jewelry about someone? Yes.
Okay.
Right? But again, it's because the energy's already in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you describe the hug, right? And it just felt like their hug.
Yeah.
That's the same with like any type of jewelry or clothing, right? Your senses are going to pick up something about them in that jewelry.
I have this little like stuffed animal. It's actually a deer, but I guess I called it. Its name is Lammy. So I guess as a kid I thought it was a lamb, but I had it. It was actually. From what I know, in my crib before I was even got home from the hospital.
Oh.
And I've had it, I still have it to this day on my bed. Every single dog I have ever had sleeps, I have pictures of them cuddled up with Lammy, like head on it or like always touching it. And they never bite it or rip it up like they do with other toys. So it's like, I feel like there's this energy on it. And so I always tell my kids, I'm like, when whoever has the first grandchild, I'm gonna pass that down to Lammy. And so this reminds me of in the previous episode when we were talking about like how we would come back
Yeah.
And not haunt, but show our presence. And
I
I was
wouldn't
like,
wanna haunt.
I'm gonna bring Lammy to life.
Lammy starts
Lammy's
walking.
gonna be like jumping in the playing with the.
Your grandchildren will love that.
I know, right?
They would love. Oh my god!
I'm like, Lammy is coming
came to life last
Lammy
night.
is coming to life, and I will be there. I will be with Lammy protecting my grandchild.
I think that's an amazing thing you should do.
Yeah.
Put
I
it
love
down on your list of
I
fun.
love it. I'm like, don't get rid of Lammy.
Hold
'Cause
those.
that's
five.
gonna have my energy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't tell you how much like bronchitis, mono, poor Lammy had with me.
None of which surprises me, actually.
Colds. What else did I have
Poor
as a
Lammy.
kid?
And when you pass it on, remember to put some
it's
Lysol.
strep throat.
That's like the
I
pox
was like
animal.
chronically sick as a kid.
She took everything from
Poor
you.
Lammy. Lammy's been sprayed with Lysol. Lammy's been cleaned.
Lemon needs to be put in the washer.
She smells so good. She does. She smells like. She smells like.
It's like the horseman pestilence is on your Lammy. Yeah, I'd love to smell her. Please bring her next time. Let me smell it.
She smells like your grandma's perfume. You know what I mean? Like rose water or something like a really floral scent.
Not mine.
Next time you come over, I'm gonna introduce you to Lammy.
I can't wait. We'll have to post a picture. A picture is coming because I can't wait to see what this is. Oh dear God.
All right. Anyway.
So with that, be open to your dreams.
Yes.
Remember to write them down.
Yep.
And
it's just a beautiful way, you know, people say like I would give anything to just see them or feel them or touch them, hug them one more day.
Yeah.
And this kind of gives you
the opportunity.
This gives you that opportunity, yeah.
I think so.
It's awesome.
I think being open is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the intention for October is like just be open this week.
Yeah.
Be open to receive, be open to enjoy, have fun.
Yes. All right.
Until
Happy
next
Halloween,
time,
everyone.
happy Halloween.